Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting, action-packed episode of 4Panel, your weekly guide to the weird and wild world of comics. I'm Andrew, and as per usual, I'm joined by my co-host Rob.
Hello!
And today is an extra super special, spectacular show, and Mick's back as well.
Why, thank you for that underwhelming introduction. Reintroduction. Post-traduction.
One of the three.
Anyway, I love comics. I've been so removed from comics over this summer that I gladly accepted a huge stack of them, and then I read one of them, and so now I'm less happy. But there you go.
You gladly accepted a huge stack of them.
Yeah, but that was because I wasn't aware of the content of some of them. I was desperate for you saw a man who was desperate for a fix of comic book action. You fed that addiction, but you cut it up with some really dodgy substances.
You make me sound like some shady comic book dealer.
You are!
I feel the listeners are getting dangerously close to the secret of how we divvy up review copies, which is just to go, hey, Mick, this is all the stuff we don't want to read, you can have it.
Basically, if you ever, listeners, if you ever get approached by a man in a long raincoat going, hey, do you want some free Spider-Man? Hey, say no. Just say no. Just walk away. Because the free Spider-Man then leads on to Inkles.
No, eventually they'll reach the level of Inkles, but that's when everything has already gone weird and they're living in the gutter.
And Meta Barons.
Again, it's when they're living in the gutter, or, just slumming it somewhere after they've been kicked out of the house and they're, massively in debt. Anyway.
Comics.
Yes.
Not even once.
Anyway. Yeah, what are we talking about today? We had something special planned for Mick's return, didn't we?
Yep, this was, if listeners can cast their mind back to almost a month ago when Mick first disappeared off into the mountains to do whatever strange voodoo he gets up to. This is the episode we had planned for around then, which is weird powers what Superman has had over the years. Because he's had some peculiar ones.
Yes, he has.
Well, more peculiar than flying, X-ray vision. Is it cold breath and heat vision?
Yeah, cold breath and heat vision.
Okay, yeah. We are maybe using peculiar in a relative sense.
Okay, let's get some things out of the way. Does he fly, or does he just leap really far over tall buildings?
Oh, man, yeah, that's... I feel like that's one of the more obvious ones that I overlooked, that it's super weird that originally one of Superman's powers was just big jumps.
Yeah, and he's faster than a speeding locomotive. Okay.
It's not that fast, though, is it?
That's what I mean. It doesn't...
Of course, over the years they've had to develop these powers, so now it's more he's faster than a speeding bus replacement service.
Yeah, I mean, he can race the Flash now. You're like, yeah, that's still faster than a speeding locomotive, but by a magnitude of, X at the moment.
Yeah. What was a sign-up petition to make Superman's top flight speed 50 miles an hour?
30 in built-up areas.
Oh, God. Are they like super police with speedometers?
And then special areas of open land designated as super barns.
Oh, I have to ask, what does he do if there's an area that he has to fly through but it's a no-fly zone? Because he is the big Boy Scout, isn't he? He doesn't like breaking the rules.
That's a good point.
Does he just get down and walk or something?
Maybe he has a special pass.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's got some bizarre powers. So flight is obviously, most superheroes fly these days. Super strength, super speed, the cold breath, we've said, which I'm still not sure about the cold breath, and the heat vision. Okay, laser eye beams. And the X-ray vision, I mean, how deep does the X-ray vision go? Is he just, perving at all the women every day, or is it he could just seize the bone structure?
Okay, no, that's not how it works, Rob. That's never how it works. It's specifically X-ray vision, so you see their bones, because that's what X-rays are.
Yeah, I know, that's why I'm asking.
Literally decades of pop culture spitting in the face of science. I'll not have it.
Oh, that's what I mean.
Anyway, back to our magic.
But here's another question. Hold on. Here's another question. If he's got X-ray vision, presumably it would be super X-ray vision, right? And therefore would have a range on it.
Well, yeah, because he can.
So how confusing is the imagery that he sees?
Because he can control his heat vision, can't he? I mean, he shaves using his heat vision and a mirror. I noticed. What? Yeah, that's how he shaves. He can't use a normal razor.
Believe it, if this is the level you're getting stuck on,
you're in for a shock. Like it. You're in for a shock, Mick.
Well, you see, you think you're going to overwhelm me on this podcast, but this isn't my first rodeo back. You see, because I did an eclectica last night.
Yeah, it's true, he did. But just hold on to that hope, Mick. It's good to have hope.
So should we get into the really weird stuff?
Yeah, but first I just want to point out, the shaving thing is absolutely real because he's Kryptonian. You can't cut his hair with normal scissors. He can't shave with a normal razor. So he has to use a mirror, direct his heat vision, and shave using his heat vision.
But here's my question. How do the hairs get through his skin anyway?
Well, he's Kryptonian. Obviously, all of him's Kryptonian. He grows a beard just like... and he has a magnificent beard in some issues.
If you made a dagger out of Kryptonian hair, could you stab Superman with it?
No, because he's Kryptonian and his hair is Kryptonian. Well, potentially, yes, you could, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, because clearly the Kryptonian hair is stronger than Kryptonian skin.
Actually, yeah, that's a point. But
then again, it's not like you can make daggers out of normal person hair.
Yeah. This is true. I suppose you could.
You could possibly. I mean, rhino horns are made out of matted hair, aren't they?
Yeah, right. I want to start off the odd superpower parade.
Well, tough, you can't because I've got the list.
Yeah. Oh, please let me just throw one out there.
No.
I'm using the word throw quite operatively.
I have got a list that I have worked on. We're going through the list.
All right.
There will be no questions after the class.
Well, how are you going to solve my confusion at your list, then?
Oh, we're not going to solve your confusion. We're just going to add to it.
Okay.
So, we are starting off early, because the thing about Superman stories, from the very early ones, like the 40s and 50s, this was before they'd really, settled into the idea of, Superman specifically can fly, is strong, has, the heat and frost breath. And back then it was just... He's Superman, so he can do super anything, which includes super ventriloquism.
Oh, yes, I remember this.
What?
Yeah.
Superman has the uncanny ability to throw his voice over great distances.
Yep.
Right. Why?
Well, what's going to show Lois Lane up more when she storms in going, "Okay, Clark, I know you're Superman." Well, you can just say... But how can I be Superman when he's in the opposite room? Hi, Lois, it's me, Superman, in the other room. Checkmate.
You've got super hypnotism along there as well, then, haven't you? The super party tricks, as I call them.
Yep, that is another one. Also, before we even get to hypnosis, super ventriloquism isn't just, Superman throwing his voice. He can also throw his voice over the radio.
Yeah, that was the thing that I never understood.
Yeah, there's a scene in, I've got it written down, Action Comics issue 60, where Superman alerts some police officers to a crime by speaking to them over their radio.
Well, I mean, to be fair, all the famous TV ventriloquists that used to be on TV started off on radio, and that's why you could see their lips move, because when they were radio entertainers, it didn't matter.
But that almost confuses me more than the Superman's. Why would you be a radio ventriloquist?
Well, they started their careers at a time when there was only radio.
But just speak.
Oh, Mick, I have to bow to...
This is my doll, Chucky. Watch now as he speaks while I drink this glass of water. Hi, everyone. It's me, Chucky. I'm talking even though Andrew has his mouth closed now.
Mick, some of them started off as stage performers.
Yeah, Mick, I have to applaud you literally reversing the confusion there.
Right, next.
Yeah, God, I wish Superman could use his vast mental powers to shove that out my brain.
Oh, the memory wipe kiss. Is that what you're on about?
Oh my God, I thought I wasn't even. But yeah, remember the memory wipe, Chris? But Superman 2 really embraced the whole Superman has weird powers thing, didn't it?
Well, that's
With,
why I was
the
talking.
memory kiss and the throwing his shield symbol and
Yeah,
it traps people. Why did people just accept that?
That's what I was talking about when I said throwing. I was talking about just tearing off his symbol and throwing it, but his symbol is still there. I'm like, how many layers does this thing have? Is it like Post-it notes?
It'll be like those Formula One driver visors.
Oh God, yes. Just tear it off and throw it, and capture somebody at the same time because it expands as it's.
Oh my God, they should start doing that in Formula One. Make it Mario Kart.
Oh, but yeah, the mental powers was what was it? He's genius level, and he's got like a photographic memory or something like that.
Yep, and he also, on multiple occasions, uses hypnosis. So I think originally the idea was he's got some kind of weird hypnosis thing, which is why a lot of people can't tell that Clark Kent is Superman. Also, my favourite one, super telepathy. 1947's Superman issue 45. Superman gets captured by a group of aliens, hit with like a special nerve agent that means he can't just break free of his prison. So what's our hero to do? Use telepathy to convince one of the aliens to free him, of course.
Yep.
But then what's he going to do? Because sure, he has his vast psychic powers apparently, but all the aliens are going to see him and gang up on him. If only he had some kind of special power that would let him blend in with the aliens, like super shape-shifting.
Yeah.
What?
Super shape-shifting was something that I remember.
Yeah, in the same issue, Superman, and I quote, manipulates the muscles in his face and body to appear like a yellow pointy-eared alien. The panel is amazing, because you see like just Superman shoving his fingers in his mouth and just like pulling his face open.
Is this like what kids do?
Right,
when
so I can, at a push, suspending my disbelief because comics, right? I understand how manipulating his facial and body muscles could change the shape of his body, but how, in the name of all that is holy, does that change his skin colour?
Super pigmentation flexing.
That's the worst explanation of anything I've heard since they explained how the Doctor Who companion Leela's eyes changed colour.
Yeah. I just want to point out the bit that Andrew's on about where he sticks his fingers in his mouth and that. It's like, you know when the kids are pulling faces at each other? Is literally like that.
Maybe Superman doesn't have shape-shifting powers. Maybe he was just pulling a funny face, but then the wind changed.
Oh, please say you got the telekinesis in there, because there's like two of them.
Yep, telekinesis was that's another thing I didn't have the specific issue for, but yeah, that's a thing he did as well a lot in the Silver Age.
Because apparently him lifting heavy objects and flying with them was a form of telekinesis, but if you remember, in Superman 4, he also
Superman 4.
Yeah, but if you remember in Superman 4, he also had telekinesis using his vision.
Fortunately, after watching Superman 4, someone got me with a super memory wipe kiss. So I only remember Superman's 1, 2, and 3.
No, he fixes the Great Wall of China by looking at it and firing these blue beams from his eyes.
See, I'd prefer to imagine it's some kind of good omens thing. Where he just looks at the wall and, don't you dare be falling down, wall. If I come over there and find you're falling down... Oh. Do you know what my favourite thing about Superman is?
What?
He's a man who can, contort his face muscles so hard he looks like a different species. And yet he decides the best way to protect my secret identity is just this pair of glasses.
Yes, but that's still not the weirdest power he's had, is it?
Yeah. Well, see, the thing that gets me about that is it's not very imaginative, considering Superman is a man with super imagination.
Yep.
What?
Yes.
So, Superman issue 127 from 1959. Superman fights Titano the Super Ape. He's an ape that got hit by radiation and grew to King Kong size, and also he has kryptonite eye beams. Don't even worry about it. So, Superman fights the big monkey, beats him by sending him back in time. And so the fun thing is, at the end of that story, he decides to check in on Titano using his telescopic vision. Flash forward a couple of years to 1961, Superman Annual Issue 2, and the story gets reprinted. But, this is the 60s. This is a modern age, goddammit, full of clever science. We know how telescopes work, and they don't let you see back in time. So they changed telescopic vision to the far more sensical super imagination.
So, what, he just imagined Titano in the past?
Yeah, I think that is very consistent with, early kind of a jerk Superman to just go, should I check on that monkey that I just threw into the time stream? Now I'll just have a big think about it. Yeah, it's probably fine.
Yep. You know how Flash can phase through objects?
Yeah.
So can Superman.
What?
He can walk through solid matter or have solid matter avoid him. He can basically phase through solid matter. Because originally it was supposed to be a one-off for, I think it was the really old TV show. The original Superman TV show that used to be on, the black and white one. Originally it was supposed to be for that, but then he got into a fight with Doomsday during the 90s, the second fight with Doomsday, if I remember rightly, and he basically phases through Doomsday's fist.
Because sometimes writing plots is hard, so it's easy just to have the superhero
Have a
get new
cop-out.
powers. Yeah.
So basically what you're telling me is that of all these super weird powers, Superman's greatest power is super cop-out.
Yeah, but do you know who wrote that issue?
Whoa.
Sorry?
Is it super cop-out? Or is it super dancing?
It could be super dancing.
Superman Family issue 196 from
Or as Superman
1979.
probably calls it, dancing.
Oh no, this is very specific.
Right.
See, Clark Kent, he's invited to judge a dance competition. But what do you know it? While he's looking through the floor with his X-ray vision, sees there's a bomb under there. And so he has literally no other option but to get on the dance floor as Clark Kent and bust out his sweet moves in such a specific way that it vibrates the floor to damage the trigger mechanism of the bomb.
What was that Bill Murray movie, the one where he is accidentally thought of as a spy, but he's actually an actor? He thinks he's auditioning for a role in a spy movie, but he's actually, everyone else thinks he's a real spy and they're all trying to kill him. Because there's the Russian dance scene at the end, and I always imagined that was the Superman dance scene.
I have no idea what film you're talking about.
Me either.
Okay, just Bill Murray as Superman. There you go. I've pitched it. But yeah.
I don't think anybody's buying it.
That Superman phasing thing, guess who wrote it? It was issue 175 in 2001. It was written by a certain Jeff Loeb.
That makes sense. Oh, Jeffrey Lobenstein III.
Oh.
Please tell me there are no more strange superpowers.
Oh no, there are more.
Oh, God.
We haven't hit the best ones yet.
Yeah.
I mean...
I'm worried I shouldn't even tell Mick about super weaving.
What?
Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, issue 15.
Yep.
Superman just goes into the forest, builds a loom, builds some thread, weaves her a nice dress.
Yep.
Except technically that one sort of almost doesn't count because it's an evil doppelganger of Superman.
Yeah. And we also haven't touched on the time travel.
It's not the real Superman because he doesn't tell Lois to shut up.
Yeah, this is true. We also have
Superman's a bad guy.
Yeah, he's not very nice. I mean, he reverses time without thinking about the consequences in the very first movie. Because that's how time travel works. Spin the earth backwards.
Well, this is one question I was going to ask. When you were saying, does he fly or is it just leaping really hard? How hard did he have to leap to do that?
I don't know, maybe he was down for the toilet.
sometimes it makes me suspect that Superman's powers aren't as well researched as they could have been.
Well, doesn't he lobotomize somebody, suggesting that he knows, all medical knowledge about the human body and can accurately use his heat vision to lobotomize someone?
Probably. Again, Golden Age Superman was just the worst person.
Yeah. But no.
It's not worse than one Golden Age Superman.
2 of them. 3 of them.
2 I was just going to stop at 2. So yeah, 2 Supermen, Rob. Superman issue 162 from 1963. And now, I know you're both probably quite concerned about what might happen to Superman in this issue, but don't worry. This is just an imaginary story.
Just imaginary, not super imaginary.
No, just imaginary. This is one of my favourite things from, Golden and Silver Age comics, where the writer would feel the need to go, don't worry, this is just an imaginary Superman story. Don't worry, it didn't really happen. So in this one, Superman decides he's going to try and increase his intelligence through a special machine. But what do you know? It goes wrong, and instead splits him into 2 Supermen. One wearing a blue costume, one wearing a red costume. Where did they get the costumes from? Who knows? Doesn't matter.
Well, presumably he rustled one up with his super weaving.
Yet there you go. Now you're learning.
Okay.
If there's ever a plot hole, just pick one of Superman's random powers and say that fixed it.
I love the fact that we can plug the plot holes with other plot holes.
It's quantum storytelling, isn't it? That's what it is.
It's like super weaving of our very own.
What about his sense of smell? Doesn't he have super olfaction or something like that?
Probably. Anyway, Superman Red and Blue ends up working quite well, actually. Because 2 Supermen double the crime-fighting power, solve world hunger, end all crime, even solve Superman's biggest problem. How does he choose between Lois Lane and Lana Lang? But obviously, now he doesn't have to.
Oh.
So I guess, what would that conversation be like? Does one Superman just write down who they prefer on a card and the other writes it down on a card and then they turn them open at the same time and hope it's the right one?
No, they do the twin route. It's this is my long lost brother Gary Kent or something like that.
Oh no, Rob. Lois and Lana don't marry Clark Kents. They marry Superman.
Oh,
so I guess they're both now Mrs. Superman.
Oh, hang on, isn't that technically bigamy?
I don't know. I guess if he's split in 2, he's probably a bit shorter. But
so bigamy.
Oh dear. And the problem is he's the one who's in control of what gets cut.
I know. No. So after that, I bet you wish that's the last time we ever hear from Superman Blue and Superman Red.
No.
Yep.
No, it's not.
No, it isn't. Because now we're in the 90s, baby. It's Electric Superman time.
Oh, his blue period, as I call it.
So Mick, are you at all familiar with Electric Superman?
Wasn't that the comeback hit from 80s pop sensations Duran Duran?
Can I introduce Mick to this? I know this because I read them.
Look, if you think you can logically explain the plot of how Superman became a blue electric man, go for it.
Right, okay.
Because it involves literal space wizards.
Yes, it does. Kind of. See, what happened was Superman died during the 90s in a big fight with Doomsday. Who's Doomsday? Don't worry about it, okay?
I know who Doomsday is.
Like I said, don't worry about it. Doomsday is a lot more weirder and complicated than you think.
But he's pointy.
Yeah, he's also apparently Kryptonian, weirdly enough. But anyway, somehow he ended up on Earth before Clark did. We don't want to go there. But anyway, he died, so Superman died, right? Came back because of the Eradicator, and then something weird happened because...
Hold on, who's the Eradicator?
The Eradicator is a Kryptonian weapon that's been tasked with guarding all Kryptonian life, because there's only one Kryptonian left alive, that's Superman. We ignore the bottle city of Kandor, where there's literally tens of thousands of Kryptonians still alive, but the Eradicator didn't bother with those because they're in a bottle. What do they matter? Only Kal-El is the important one.
Oh, also the Eradicator looks exactly like Superman.
Yeah, and isn't afraid of killing people, but we won't go there either. But anyway, the Eradicator
Also
brings...
has cool green spectacles on.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, the Eradicator somehow manages to bring Kal-El back to life because apparently he's only mostly dead. That was the best bit from that whole Reign of the Superman, was the fact that they nicked a bit from the Princess Bride. He's only mostly
dead. The Eradicator is Magic Max.
Yeah. No, the Miracle Max, isn't it?
Miracle Max, yeah. What's Magic Max? Did I make that up? I might have made it up.
No, you got confused between Miracle Max and Magic Mike. That would have been a very different Princess Bride.
Wow. You know, there's rumours going around that they want to remake The Princess Bride. I think we've sorted out who replaces Billy Crystal.
Oh, that's going to be a hell of a scene, isn't it? But anyway, Superman's powers ended up going a little bit haywire because what do you expect after you're coming back from the dead? And so he suddenly, it was quite literally an overnight transformation. He suddenly woke up blue and had electric powers because space wizards. And then he had to go through this period.
Yeah, he also got cursed by a space wizard in Kandor.
Yeah, and so he had to go through this period where he was basically a blue electric man wearing a white and blue suit. And, you know that song, I'm blue, da ba dee da ba da? That's basically Superman at that period.
I do know that song, but that rendition in no way reminded me of it.
It's fine. But anyway, he had his powers siphoned off one time by Parasite, and then he had to fight an angel who was supposed to be Gabriel, representing a higher power, and couldn't understand why Superman could face the light of heaven and still stand and punch him in the face. These were things that happened during the 90s Superman run. Oh, and he also copied himself. He
shoved his hand in a computer and could see the files.
Oh, yeah. And he copied himself and brought back Red and Blue Superman.
And now it all makes perfect sense.
So, everything I know about Doomsday is that he's a weapon from Krypton.
Yeah, developed by a.
Oh no, he didn't even get past Doomsday.
He's still buffering all of that.
The rest of this show is just Mick slowly processing everything you've said.
What you have to remember is that I come from a universe where I've just experienced Superman's grandfather being possessed by Brainiac in an attempt to save Krypton from the menaces of a time-travelling General Zod, who it turns out is Oliver Queen's stepdad from the first series of Arrow.
Okay.
So your weird superpowers stuff, child's play.
We haven't even reached the weirdest ones.
Right, yeah, that's it.
Gloves are off now, Andrew.
Gloves are off. The plexiglass.
Wait, Superman wears gloves now?
Finger is on the trigger.
Actually,
we're going for the big gun.
For one of his superpowers, yes, he would have to wear gloves because he's in danger of a misfire.
Superman issue 125. So, starts off fairly regular. Superman finds there's a teeny tiny spaceship buried underneath the metropolis. Has a little look at it. But oh no, it explodes. So, Superman, feeling a bit weird after that, flies off, sees, a car full of criminals, goes to stop it with his super strength, only to find, he doesn't have most of his powers. When I say most of his, he mopes about having lost his powers, despite the fact that he can still fly and is invulnerable.
Yep.
Which, let's face it, they're quite good powers to have.
Yeah, if you're only going to have 2 powers, those would be some pretty good ones.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, you could keep flying for me if I was invulnerable.
Yeah. But you needn't worry, though, because it turns out Superman has a brand new power. And at first it seems like he can shoot. Well, according to the cover, he can shoot rainbow-coloured waves from his, which in and of itself would be a fantastic suit. Just him jazz handsing about shooting rainbows everywhere. But when he looks closer, he finds out it's not actually a ray of energy coming from his hands. It's a teeny tiny Superman, Mick.
So you think he's kidding, but he's not.
No, For an issue, Superman had the ability to fire a smaller Superman from his hand. And what's even better, he gets jealous of the tiny Superman.
Yep.
Because, see, tiny Superman has all the powers that big Superman lost. And so, tiny Superman starts getting all the credit for saving lives. And again, like 1950s Superman, just the pettiest jerk. I think he'd literally, at one point says, why do they all love him but not me?
Yeah.
So what is a man who's incredibly jealous of the tiny version of himself that he fires from his hand going to do? Fire that tiny version at a kryptonite meteor, obviously.
Right.
But see, that doesn't work as well as he would have hoped. Because tiny Superman he survives and knocks the meteor off course, where it lands in front of the self-same criminals from earlier, who decide they're going to put that kryptonite weapon in their latest doomsday weapon. And by doomsday weapon, I mean big catapult.
Yep.
Maybe they just get a big old hunk of green rock, shove it in a catapult, go. Okay, there's Superman who's flying overhead, launch it. And so Superman has no choice but to fire tiny Superman at him, at the meteor. And this time, tiny Superman does die, and it's very sad. But Superman gets his powers back, so he doesn't care.
Yeah. I just want to point out, there is another superpower that most people don't even realize Superman has. And it passes a lot of people by. Superman was raised in, Kansas, was it?
Yep.
And so he got the same schooling as most American children of the period, which doesn't include foreign languages or alien languages or anything like that. Yet he can somehow... He's got super translation.
Okay.
Yeah, he can speak to anyone, anywhere, about anything in their own language.
But aren't you basing that on a false premise? Because he doesn't have the same education as other standard kids, because he's got all the special teaching rocks in the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, but that's assuming...
Unless he doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it depends on the continuity.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Well, it would.
And don't forget, he's also got super metabolism as well.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, surely, as a Kryptonian, that's just his metabolism.
No, but he's a Kryptonian on Earth, so everything about him is super.
Yeah, you see, that's not really a power. It's just the fact that because he's on Earth. I mean, that's not a weird superpower. I'd expect him to have a different metabolism. I mean, shooting a tiny version of himself from his hands, that's weird.
Yeah, my point is, in the comics, they never acknowledge his metabolism except for like 1 or 2 issues when he basically gorges himself like the Flash does.
Okay.
Superman can't...
Yeah, but I feel the problem is we've peaked with tiny Superman.
And there's your episode title right there.
That's good. Shall we go to a break after having a moment's silence? R.I.P. Tiny Superman. You're being shot out of hands in heaven now.
Yes.
My name's Quentin Flynn. I'm here on The Geek Show. Why? Because I play Raiden in the Metal Gear series. I am lightning, the rain transformed. And I have been transformed by hanging out on this show. So tune in and turn on. You'll love it. The Geek Show. It rocks.
Have you ever been reading through a stack of comics and thought, maybe I should see what this Arkham Asylum game is all about? Or been playing Marvel vs. Capcom and felt like you were at a real disadvantage since you didn't know who half the characters were? Well, Play Comics is the show for you. I'm Chris, and each episode we take a look at video games based on comic properties and how well they stick to that source material. So whether you know the comics and want to know how all these games work, or you know the games and want to find out where all this craziness came from, go check out Play Comics at playcomics.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Welcome back, and now it's time for, well, comics. The things that we've been reading. So, Mick, take it away.
Okay. What I need right now is the dums from EastEnders.
No, that was the dance version, wasn't it?
Look, it's 2019. We're not here for your fuddy-duddy music anymore.
What he wanted was dun,
It's all
dun,
Billie
dun,
Eilish
dun,
and
dun,
dance
dun, dun.
remixes.
Because, effectively, what I've got here is Age of X-Man. Kurt Wagner is the amazing Nightcrawler
Can I
in
just say,
3D, only it's not.
I don't think I've had a more challenging comics-related conversation than trying to explain to you the premise of Age of X-Men.
I don't think I've listened to a more challenging explanation. And what I did was I took all the essential salient points of that explanation and ignored them and just read the comic.
I don't think I've forgotten a more challenging explanation. What was it about again?
Yeah, it was probably best to just ignore me and read the comic.
Yeah. So, basically, my understanding of what I filtered from the quite lengthy explanation was that basically an alternative version of Cable, who's called X-Man, has decided that the X-Men were naughty for getting jiggy with each other, and now they're not allowed to, and no one has families anymore.
So, well, hang on, wind it back a bit. So people can't have relations, and so what? Hang on, doesn't that mean the population declines and then humanity basically perishes?
No, because science.
Yeah, science. Because comics.
I think they're all like test tube babies now.
Is there some weird Matrix thing going on?
No, because they're not enslaved. They carry on living their lives. It's just that there's control over whether mutants mate with each other, or so there's no possibility of breeding a really powerful mutant by combining two already powerful mutants, because that's not how the gene splicing is done artificially. So you couldn't have, for example, Mystique having a baby with Logan and having a shapeshifter with razor-sharp claws.
Which is a character that does exist.
Oh, for crying out loud!
His name is Reyes. He's from another alternate future.
Yep.
So that's the backdrop for the Amazing Nightcrawler. And in this, Kurt works for X Studios. He's their leading man. He's the superstar. And it's a bit of a Hollywood soap opera, really, because you've got his film studio, which has got a rival film studio, and he's fallen in love with his leading lady, and she with him, but that's not allowed, so they have to keep it secret. But their PA is a hive mind telepath, so keeping it secret, bit tricky. And it does just read like a teen pulp romance story thing, forbidden love and all that, and it's just a bit, There's a load of. It only starts getting interesting when Kurt's mom turns up, but he doesn't know she's his mom because he's been memory wiped. They've all been memory wiped to forget that they've got family, but he keeps remembering, so they keep having to memory wipe him again. And what?
Hang on, hold up, 1 second. Didn't you just say everyone's a test tube baby? So how does he have a mum?
Because he existed before Cable did whatever it was he did as X-Man. So he was a pre-existing mutant.
But if Cable did whatever he did, oh God, I'm falling into the.
I don't know enough about the incredibly convoluted plotline that Andrew described.
Yeah, it's also tough because there's certain parts of it where it's like it's kind of not supposed to make sense, but it's sort of it's a bit like The Prisoner, the Patrick McGowan thing. Where it's like deliberately a bit nonsensical in places because it's supposed to just be this world that like X-Man's thrown together on the fly.
Okay.
And like that's why, because I don't think it actually comes up in this series, but one of the main things in like the other series is that there's starting to be these kind of big cracks in reality where the world sort of like doesn't really fit together properly and is now starting to break apart a bit.
Yeah, no, that doesn't crop up in this. That would have made this more interesting. In fact, the most interesting bit about this collection is some of the variant covers are quite nice. Apart from Nightcrawler himself, outside of that, there's no real characters that I'm overly familiar with from the X-Men, apart from, as I say, a brief guest appearance by Mystique. That's about it. I don't recognise any of the others. But the thing is, they all seem to be like a little bit like other X-Men, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
They're sort of power adjacent to others. The art's nice. The art's really quite catching. A lot of the panels feel like frames from a sort of daytime, Days of Our Lives type soap opera. Whether that's intentional or not, I don't care. The writer is Shannon Maguire, art by Juan Frigeri, letters by Travis Lanham. And I'm sure there's a market for this kind of soppy romance type comic in the Marvel Universe, but it's not for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems like it's something, it's very good at being what it wants to be. It's just what it is not something that's necessarily to yours, or to be honest, really to my taste.
Yeah.
It's also, if you're reading like all of the Age of X-Men, that's the one that is most easily skipped, because it doesn't really connect to the larger story in any way.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't feel any need to understand. In fact, I wouldn't say I enjoyed it more. I'd have probably got more out of this had I not had the explanation about Age of X-Men.
Fair enough.
If it was just like a weird alternate universe with two people who aren't allowed to be in a relationship or whatever.
Yeah. So there you go. That's Age of X-Men, The Amazing Nightcrawler, issues 1 to 5, collected into a trade paperback that will probably be popular with fans of Twilight.
Okay, well, I don't find that appealing at all. Andrew?
Oh, yeah, it kind of blanked my mind a bit that it was my turn. That's, don't do X-Men, we can have a nice X-Men sandwich. So I am going to do Star Wars Age of Rebellion Heroes, which is written by Greg Pak for most of it, with one story also by Mark Guggenheim, and art by a whole bunch of artists, because this is a collection of a bunch of different one-shot issues, including Chris Sprouse, Carl Story, Will Sliney, Mark Deering, Matteo Buffagni, Scott Koblish, Stefano Landini, Andrea Broccardo, and John Adams. So this is a collection of one-shots. It's either Star Wars Age of Rebellion, Han Solo, Lando Calrissian, Luke Skywalker, and Princess Leia, and the Star Wars Age of Rebellion special, which basically each one seems to be just a little kind of character-focused issue, just giving you sort of a snapshot of each of Star Wars' main characters. And yeah, there's some fun little stories. The Princess Leia one is about her kind of just before the start of Return of the Jedi, where she saves Lando and they go off to rescue Han from Jabba the Hutt. The Han Solo one is kind of just after Star Wars A New Hope, where it's a bit like the Han Solo miniseries that I covered a while ago. But basically, it's a Han Solo I really like, where he's kind of, no, I'm not part of the rebellion. I did a favor for them one time, and then Luke kind of pops up and goes, "Oh, Han, can you just deliver this package for us? You're the best smuggler and we need you." So yeah, fine, but I'm not part of the rebellion. This is the last time I'm doing any favors for you. And of course, it just keeps going on with this. Okay, no, but for real, this is the last time I'm doing a favor for you guys. And I like the idea that Han Solo is just a guy who keeps doing one last favor until eventually he realizes, no, he's just part of the rebellion now.
He's basically just become Murto from Lethal Weapon, hasn't he? Permanently 2 days away from retirement.
Yeah, exactly. He's always just going to go, take his money and go and live in space Florida.
Space Florida.
I like it.
The Lando one, actually, I really liked. It was probably my favourite because it's you know how there was that Lando miniseries a while ago that I didn't like because it was basically just him as like discount Han Solo.
Yeah.
This one's more about him when he was in charge of Cloud City. So it's a lot of him sort of struggling to make ends meet, and he's got like debts piling up, workers that need paying. He's always looking for an angle to make sure everyone gets paid on time. Like, that's the kind of Lando I find interesting. Like a guy who is a con man who's suddenly found himself like in this position of responsibility. That's basically about him trying to take this job, but on the surface of it, he only needs to like go intimidate some rich alien from abandoning a mining outpost so that he can take it over. And like, for him, it's supposed to be, the easy out that'll mean he can get everyone paid and everything fine and nice and secure, but you of course find it's a bit more morally complicated than that. And it's a really nice it's a space crime story, which is the best kind of crime.
Unless you live in space, Florida.
Well, I don't know. In space, no one can hear you steal.
Exactly. I bet there's loads of would-be space gangsters who find themselves face down in the space Everglades, getting chomped on by a big old space croc. Yeah. Luke Skywalker one's kind of a bit,
Yeah, but that's Luke Skywalker through and through, isn't it?
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, that's very true.
That sums up the idiot fanboy in one.
Yeah, it's very much he's on a mission with some rebels, but then the Emperor does some telepathy to get in his mind and be all, hey, Luke, you should give up all this fighting and go live on a farm or something. But then Luke's all, nah, you're all right. And so he doesn't.
See, for some reason, my head went in a bizarre Blues Brothers Star Wars crossover where Luke just puts on shades and says, I'm on a mission from Yod.
That was
Anyway,
terrible.
moving on to the...
Andrew, please fire him.
Actually, wait, you know how to set up the meetups, don't you?
No.
Oh, no. Oh, no, he's gone and made himself essential to the show again.
See, I also get all the comics.
He does also get all the comics.
Addresses can be changed.
But context can't.
Mail can be intercepted.
Oh,
Yeah, then there's the special. There's a nice little Yoda story in it. It's basically kind of about him sort of bouncing back from when he first landed on Dagobah and he was all sad and depressed in him, and getting his optimism back, which is a nice little tale. And there's a very fun one about two rebel pilots who decide they need a vacation and get up to wacky beach antics.
is it Wedge and Biggs?
It is not. It is. I think it's Wedge and Porkins.
Okay.
Good old Porkins.
Yeah. Also, I just want to point out, there are probably tens of Star Wars fans screaming at you right now because you called it Dagobah instead of Dagobah.
God, whatever I goddamn want, a bunch of nerds. Stick that on your Wikipedia.
Wait till I tell them it's not even a sci-fi franchise.
Oh, right.
Listen, I literally just found out today that the famous horror director's name is Toby Hooper, not Tobe.
That must have come as a shock.
Sometimes I don't know how to do the words.
No, sometimes the word Toby is spelt with a Y, not an E.
Yeah, it is. That is a non-standard spell.
Anyway, on with this edition of 4Panel. I've got The Ice Wanderer and Other Stories by Jiro Taniguchi, which is an anthology of stories set in, well, I guess you'd call it sort of the northwestern territories of the USA and Canada.
Oh, yeah, he's the guy who did Skyhawk.
And also The Walking Man and The Times of Botchan. And it's a nice little anthology. The first story in it is a reworking of kind of the opening of Call of the Wild by Jack London.
Okay.
And it just has a slightly little twist on it. Slightly different twist. But these are all stories about the traditions of kind of native Inuit people. the way that European sort of adventurers, explorers, travellers have sort of trampled over them or changed them or altered them or, crucially, been altered by them. The artwork is gorgeous in places and really evokes that sense of wilderness. The action scenes involving wild packs of wolves are exciting and dynamic. The stories themselves are engaging, even though they're more sort of boys' own adventure type tales than I would normally like. I found myself not able to put it down, really. In fact, after I'd read the first story, I think I finished the rest of the collection in about a couple of nights, which, considering it's a 200 and odd page collection, is no mean feat. I did set some time aside just to finish it, because it does leave you wanting more. The artwork draws you in, the characters draw you in. And I think tying it into some of the stuff with well-known Western authors like Jack London is what helps give it a bit of appeal. If there's anybody out there who listens to 4Panel who feels like they want to dip their toes into a bit of manga, but feel that it's a bit of a quagmire to sort of choose the right thing to get you in, you could do worse than pick this up.
That's the thing about Jiro Taniguchi's work. It's very accessible for a Western audience, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of the things that was said in Skyhawk. It does take a lot of influence from Western media. That's definitely not as... I'll be diplomatic, not as Japanese as some works are.
Yeah, this is one of those manga where the most difficult part of getting into it for a non-manga reader is getting used to reading it from right to left.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, he's also done stuff like A Zoo in Winter and the Walking Man one, Ferrari, I think that one is. We covered that one ages ago. And I think we covered A Zoo in Winter as well, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did.
I'm a big fan of Jiro Taniguchi's work because of how accessible it is, but also because he's got an interesting way of taking influences from the West and applying them to a very Japanese way of storytelling.
Yeah, and I think the other nice thing is the fact that these intertwine with tales of Inuit people. There's a kind of cultural meshing there, because there's a very sort of oriental feel to some of those traditions. So I think it's a nice little halfway house for Taniguchi to sort of cross between his Western influences and his oriental sort of native traditions and stuff. Those standing those stores by the whims of nature.
It's interesting because you said the same thing about Skyhawk, basically, didn't you, Andrew?
I did, pretty much, yeah. I don't like it. Me and Mick are thinking alike now. He has to go again.
But surely, if we're thinking that alike, if you fire me, you're effectively firing yourself.
Oh, no.
Andrew, take us
he
home.
has become too self-aware.
Yeah, Andrew, take us home quickly.
You know what's happened, don't you, Andrew? We've become Red Andrew and Blue Andrew.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, because if their powers combine, then they become Purple Andrew, and then I have to worry. Andrew, take us home, quick.
Okay, so I have been reading X-Men Grand Design X-Tinction by Ed Piscor. And this collects the final 2 volumes of X-Men Grand Design, which, again, like the rest of the series, is a retelling of the sort of Chris Claremont era of from the Stan Lee to the end of the Chris Claremont era of X-Men comics, condensed into one handy guide. And yeah, again, it's a really neat little book. Like, again, speaking of accessibility, this is a great way to say to someone, the X-Men, it's a series that relies a lot on continuity, but it can be a bit daunting, going, okay, yeah, just read these, several decades worth of X-Men comics. So it's really nice to have this waking out of saying, so, okay, here's a 6-issue miniseries. It explains, all the key points of X-Men history, and, does a really good job of showing you just how interconnected things are. It's like the first volume of this contains a big X-Men crossover called Inferno. And it's really neat to see how, like, starting in stuff that in the comics was, like, years and years in the past. Like, how early sort of the various seeds for that ring laid. Right? Because even more than kind of some of the other issues of Grand Design, that one feels the most like a single coherent story. Like, whereas some of the others feel like, it's a bit jumping from, this to this to this to this. I think the Inferno one is one where you can really appreciate kind of the pulling back to go, oh yeah, this really was one like big long storyline that was plotted over the years. So I really like kind of how deliberately faded the art is a bit. It does kind of feel like you're reading like an old newspaper comic strip, but like with better art. It's also this might be the one comic book in existence where all the characters look different. Like, it's not just the same handful of faces, but with different haircuts. And it also has a reprint at the back of the Uncanny X-Men issue 268, which is just a fun little team up with Wolverine, Captain America, and the Black Widow. So there's basically a really weird time of X-Men comics where there wasn't really the X-Men. Like, most of them were thought to be dead. So it's just like Wolverine, Jubilee, and Psylocke. And like sometimes it'll jump over to different characters who are just sort of milling about.
Okay.
So, X-Men Grand Design. It's real good. Get the whole series.
Okay.
They're nice big books.
Yeah, they're very large, aren't they?
They are absolute like coffee table books.
Like the Vault.
The Vault. Do you like my Thing from the Crypt? That's what it's called, isn't it? My big like EC horror collection.
Yes.
I like that book. I think that probably does it for us.
Yeah, I think that's basically it from us. So you can find this and all of our... if you listen to this, then obviously. You can find all of our episodes... let me start that again. So, if you've enjoyed this episode, you can find all of the episodes, in fact, all the shows that make up the Geek Show podcast family on our website, thegeekshow.co.uk, or on whichever podcast provider you prefer to use, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Deezer, Audio Boom, or Podcatcher, or something like that. We're available on all of them. So, just look for us. On our website, you'll also find videos about various things, as well as written reviews of movies and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that's about it from us. Until next time, I've been Rob.
I've been Andrew.
I've been Mick. Happy to see that standards haven't slipped while I've been away.
Well, I mean, was there anywhere they could have slipped to?
I'll have you know, Mick, we are amateurs, total amateurs. And
I wouldn't big yourself up.
we'll see you all next time.
Thanks for listening.
Goodbye now.